Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. It is Wednesday, August 23rd, and I usually do this on Thursdays, but I decided to do it earlier in the week because I've got some things to talk about. I did a video yesterday that I had to take down because of some because I wasn't happy with like how I was rambling on in the video, but I also had some issues with the way I recorded the video. So I took it down, and I'm gonna kind of rehash what I said yesterday. And this is regarding the SNES Classic pre-order. So yesterday, as some of you may know, the SNES Classic, Super Nintendo Classic, was put up for pre-order on a few sites. On GameStop, on... Here a skeleton. Where is he? Okay, maybe he's upstairs. So it was put on pre-order on Best Buy, Target, Walmart, GameStop, and it was supposed to come available for Toys R Us and Amazon. Toys R Us said they were going to only have it available on launch day in their stores. They weren't going to put it up for pre-order, which was weird. But maybe they'll change their mind on that. Amazon hasn't done anything yet. I'm not sure what Amazon's waiting for, but as of today, they still have not put up a pre-order as far as I know. I am set to be notified when they do come up with the pre-order, so hopefully they will do that pretty soon, which is surprising because Amazon is like one of those companies that is just on top of pre-order for anything because, they don't have a physical store. How are you alive? This is daytime. Well, you're in the kind of dark part of my underhang here, which is probably how you're still alive. So anyways, so Amazon hasn't released it. Best Buy, for some frickin' reason, but it benefited me. I'm not sure why they did it, but it benefited me. They started their pre-order at about 2 or 3 in the morning, Wednesday morning, or not Wednesday morning, Tuesday morning, late Monday night, early Tuesday morning. And because I'm a night person and I work later shift for my job, I'm up later at night playing video games, I was there when I got my notification that they had gone on sale. So I quickly jumped to Best Buy's website, logged in, got it added to my cart, couldn't get it shipped to my apartment. So I'm like, okay, I don't really care if I have to go to the store and pick it up. It gave me the option to choose pick up in the store. And for me, I was able to get it delivered to the store that's closest to me. But what I found out later on, other people were not able to get it delivered to any store in their area. Some, many hundreds of miles away, was the closest store they could get it delivered to. But nobody, I've not seen anybody say they were actually able to get it shipped to them from a Best Buy US website from when it was on pre-order. YouTuber CJR, who I follow, he got his through Best Buy in Canada, which he got it from what he posted on his Facebook group. He got it shipped to his house. So at least Best Buy Canada got it right and got it working. But from what I understand, within like 10 minutes of it going on sale, like in that 10-minute span I was able to get it pre-ordered, it was gone. Even at 2 in the morning, it was pretty much sold out within 10 minutes. So unfortunately, I got mine, and I'm happy, and I'm ready to pick it up on September 29th when it becomes available. And I'm sure I'll provide a review of it on here. I may figure out, look into getting a game capture device so that I can do streaming videos on my Switch and on my NES Classic and my forthcoming SNES Classic. But right now I can only stream from my PlayStation. But I'm hoping that will eventually change if I get the game capture device. I've also heard the possibility that the Switch might add... Oh chickens. Dang it. That the Switch might add streaming to Twitch eventually. And eventually is a pretty broad term because, like, they even said, oh, online should be coming to the Switch eventually, and it's still not quite there. And the one game that I've tried to play online to some form of success was Splatoon 2, and it seemed to work okay, but I've heard from other people that it's not as good as it should be. So we'll see how Nintendo handles that, but that's not what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be continuing to talk about the SNES Classic and how somebody needs to explain why this pre-order was so bungled. You'd think by now Nintendo would have learned from the NES Classic, from how many people were wanting it and how many people were scalping it, that there was a huge need for there to be a lot of units available for pre-order. And maybe that, and there's a part of me that thinks that they did at least make more available for pre-order than they probably did for the NES Classic. Because if I remember correctly, the NES Classic sold out within like an hour or two, whereas the SNES Classic at least lasted a couple hours, but the companies that were selling it for pre-order at least were staggered, whereas with the NES Classic it was come one, come all, and it was gone in a very short period of time. So after Best Buy sold out, there were still other retailers that had yet to put their pre-orders out. GameStop being a pretty crucial one because, of course, when you think buying games, you think GameStop, right? They're one of the few retailers left that actually focuses on selling games. You know, getting it from a place like Best Buy or like Walmart or Target, you don't really expect those places to have a lot of units because they don't focus on selling games. I'm sure they certainly do want to play off the popularity of the SNES Classic by simply, selling as many units as they can get their greedy little hands on. But so Target was the next one, I believe, to go on sale or to go on the pre-order. And Target did not last very long at all. This creeper's going to blow up. This creeper's going to blow up, and I can't move because the fucking zombie's in the way. Well, it's not really that important. I have armor. So Target sold out, I think, from the moment I saw that they were on sale to the moment I saw that they had been out of stock, I think was about 10 minutes. So pretty much each retailer, they've only been for sale for about 5 to 10 minutes before they run out of stock. Because so many people are trying to get them, whether they're trying to get them legitimately because they want a SNES Classic, or they're trying to get them so that they can sell them on eBay for egregious prices. So then the next most important one, especially in how I was curious to see how they handled it, Creeper, was GameStop. And there was a reason why. GameStop a couple weeks ago, which it was mentioned on a few YouTube channels, miraculously had NES classics for sale in bundles through their ThinkGeek arm. ThinkGeek, for those of you who don't know who they are, it's a pop culture nerdy culture, geek culture site that sells a lot of kitschy stuff, a lot of like knickknacks and gadgets and toys. Occasionally they have something funny or something neat that people want to buy. They do pretty good. They do a pretty good amount of business. So it's no surprise that last year, I think, or a year before last, GameStop bought ThinkGeek for a fair bit of money. And I think eventually GameStop realized that while yes, ThinkGeek does pretty good business, they also have a ton of product that they don't sell and they can't get rid of. And GameStop's just like, what can we do to get rid of this stuff? Let's put it in our stores and see if we can get people to buy it from our stores. People weren't buying them from their stores because if they're not buying it on ThinkGeek's website, they're certainly not going to buy it at your stores, GameStop. But they didn't really think about that. And so now what they're doing is they're taking popular items and bundling those popular items with not so popular items. And I don't know if this is if they did this before the NES Classic or if this is the first time that they've done this and they're just repeating it with the SNES Classic, which is what we're going to get to, why I'm so mad at GameStop and ThinkGeek for why they did this. So it was about a month ago that a bunch of these bundles of things like Mega Man helmets, Mega Man blaster, like really knockoff stuff, not Capcom, not made by Capcom or endorsed by Capcom, just kind of like licensed through some third-party company that made these very kitschy, very cheap-looking items for Mega Man. And ThinkGeek could not sell them for the life of them. They could not sell this stuff. They couldn't sell it through GameStop when it was on sale, both helmet and blaster for $40 back in Christmas time. They just couldn't sell them. So what does GameStop do in their infinite wisdom? They decide, okay, we've got a bunch of NES classics. Maybe they bought them from a liquidator, or they bought them from somebody who was just holding on to them for the right moment to get dumb companies like GameStop to pay out the ass for them. And they decided to bundle them with these kitschy items. And they were selling these bundles for ridiculous prices. That's what I think pissed me the most off, is that they were selling them for $200-300 a pop, when the NES Classic retailed for $60. And I understand, yes, the NES Classic is out of stock. It's hard to find. You're gonna knock up a price of an item when it's hard to find or when it's rare. People do that on eBay. People do that even at retail, like used video game stores or independent video game stores. They do that, and that's fine. You know what? You need to make a little bit extra money, or maybe you bought it when you bought it from the person, you paid them more than retail price. Whatever, you got to recoup your costs. Got to get some profit in there somewhere. But I don't agree that a company like GameStop and ThinkGeek should take something like that, mark it up 200-300%, 400% even, and bundle it together with a bunch of items that the people don't want. They simply want the NES Classic, and they're buying that bundle because they want the NES Classic, and they're just going to throw away everything else in the bundle. But you still get paid for it because you decided to mark up that $60 console for 500%. Hi, Creeper. Another creeper hole. Fantastic. And so, what I thought to myself, this just doesn't surprise me. This is GameStop. I already was not a big fan of GameStop as a company at that point. But this kind of just really pissed me off when this happened yesterday. So, after GameStop's own inventory of NES or SNES classics, Mr. Skeleton, die. After their own stock of SNES classics and their own bundles, because of course GameStop is the king of bundlers, they bundled the system with the book that Nintendo's releasing, the Super Nintendo Power Book or whatever it's called. Similar one that they released for the NES Classic when it came out. Basically talks about the console and the games that are on the Super NES Classic, and probably has a section talking about Star Fox 2 and why it was never released, and how you're going to be able to, for the first time ever, play the original sequel to Star Fox. Those kind of things were going to be in that book. So GameStop decided to bundle the console with the book and these cheap knockoff wireless controllers, and for various bundle prices. You had the console by itself, which was $80, $79.99. Or was it $7? Yeah, I think it was $80. And then they bundled it with the book, which was, I think, $99.99. They bundled it with the console and the controller, which was $104. Oh no, that was $99.99. The controller and the system was shit. Did not notice that creeper hole there. Or was that even a creeper hole? How did he not die? Well, they both died. Sorry, I was just trying to focus and not get killed by the creeper. And then the mini zombie was right behind me trying to wreck my day. And I'm like, God damn it. So there was various bundles. You can probably find information about them on the web. But the really egregious part was I read somewhere on Facebook, it was Cheap Ass Gamer. Because Cheap Ass Gamer all day was sharing the various places that were selling these bundles, or selling or retailers that were offering them online. They were saying, hey, so and so's got them up for pre-order, like GameStop, like Target, and Walmart even put their proper pre-order up this time, ones that weren't going to get canceled. And then they said, hey, there's some SNES Classic bundles up for sale through ThinkGeek. And I'm like, no way. Because I remembered the NES Classic bundles. And I'm like, they didn't. They seriously didn't put up hugely expensive bundles for the SNES Classic. For a console that's not even released yet. But they did. And it just freaking boggled my mind. They put up the console with a Mega Man helmet and blaster for $199, I think. So that was 250% of the price. Remember, it's not yet released. Not yet released. There are probably going to be some available in the wild when the thing gets released on September 29th. There are going to be some stores that are going to get their allotment from Nintendo that are not online retailers. Like, I'm sure Best Buy is going to have a few that they've kept specifically to sell in their stores. They may not be a lot, but they'll have them. And there is also the possibility that Nintendo will release more to the stores before the actual release date. So it's not guaranteed that this is the last of the stock available until Nintendo decides to do another production run. So the worst bundle in this ThinkGeek set of bundles was a Zelda Breath of the Wild oil canvas painting and the SNES Classic for $349. $349. That means that they have, let's do the math here. Let me bring up a calculator. So the difference between an $80 device and $349 divided by 80, 430%. They listed freaking SNES Classic at a 430% markup rate. 430%. That is freaking ridiculous. Let me see if I can even bring up the site. I think I still can. Because there, and here's the kicker. I'm sorry, it's $330, not 350, but it's still 400% markup. So here's the first bundle. That was the SNES Classic and the Mega Man helmet and blaster. $250. Not 150, 250. Then there was an SNES Classic and Street Fighter statue bundle. $200. So ThinkGeek GameStop is telling us that the Street Fighter statue they're bundling with the SNES Classic is valued at $120. It's not life size, people. This is probably a 3 or 4 inch tall figure sitting on a stand. Then there's an $154.99 bundle, the SNES Classic plus a Super Mario plush something or other. Like I can't even see. Let's see what else is in it. Alongside a Super Mario Retro Mushroom 14-in-1 plush. The Super Mario 16-ounce coin box mug. And a 2018 Super Mario Bros. Classic wall calendar. All of this for the low price of $155. So for almost twice the cost of an SNES Classic, they're getting the console plus three items that really should only add up to like maybe $25-$30 of more in cost. They're valuing that at 100. They're valuing that at $80. They're valuing that twice to 2 to 3 times the actual cost of those items. And this is just ridiculous. Like the cheapest bundle was the console plus a Tetris lamp and a Super Mario Brothers flask at $139.99. It's just what even boggled my mind more that ThinkGeek GameStop did this was that there were people that actually paid for it because they're all sold out. They're all out of stock. It's not, and it's the same thing with the NES Classic. These were the same items they bundled with almost the same items they bundled with the NES Classic, and almost the same prices too. It's just outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. And at this point, I'm like I've pretty much decided something I should have decided a long time ago. I'm probably never going to shop at a GameStop ever again, just because it feels like if I give them my money, I'm supporting their total raping of their consumers, because they're just playing on people's needs to get this console. I was excited for this console, and like many people, I never had a chance to play a lot of these games. With the NES Classic, there was a couple games I'd had a chance to play. I had an NES, and I had an SNES as a kid, but most of the games in the SNES Classic I've never played. So let's look at the SNES Classic game lineup. You have Super Mario World. I've played that. Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. I've played a little bit of that. Super Metroid. I played that. Let's get a better list here. Super Street Fighter. I played that. Super Punch Out. I may have played that. I don't remember if I have or not. Castlevania. I played that on. Yeah, I played that on the SNES. So I'd say I played about half of these games on here, maybe a quarter of the games on here. I played Final Fantasy 3. I've never played Kirby Superstar. I'm really looking forward to that. I played Star Fox, but I never played uh, Star Fox 2, of course. Not even the ROM. I've never played Super Mario RPG. I've never played Contra on the SNES. Never played Secret of Mana. Never played Earthbound. I really want to check out Earthbound because it's like so many people love Earthbound. Not only because it's like a really expensive game, a physical game. I played Super Mario Kart. I've played F Zero. Yoshi's Island. I have played a little bit of. Super Ghouls and Ghosts. I've played. So about half these, I'd say more like half these games I haven't played. But I was still looking forward to it because it's like, I I like my NES Classic. It's something I can just quickly turn on and play for a little bit, play for 10, 15 minutes, play for an hour. Play through an entire game if I want to, and it's right there available to me. Granted, it's just those games. I could mod it if I want to, but I already have ways of playing emulated games, and I know it's an emulator. I'm not expecting I'm not expecting you to think that I believe it's an actual SNES hardware with the games built in somehow. It's an emulator, and but I still wanted it, and the fact that GameStop is doing this to people that wanted this device, that they're charging these outrageous prices for these bundles, and just being like, well, you you don't like it, don't get it from us. But you can't get it from anywhere else because we're the only company left that hasn't, other than Amazon, that hasn't sold out all their stock. It's just, ugh. It's just very, very shady. And I'm not the only one to think so. So it's like I'd like to believe that GameStop's only like 6 to 12 months away from bankruptcy, but I have a feeling that they'll find some way to keep their their crappy business model going. I already had a lot of ill feelings about GameStop because I had a friend that used to work for them, and he was not treated very well by management, and it was kind of a shitty situation. And I blame GameStop's inability to properly train their management, their district managers. So I've kind of said what I wanted to say, and I still managed to ramble. And I guess I can't avoid rambling at all costs. But it's it's one of those things that I kind of hope one day that GameStop screws up enough to where the government decides to investigate them, whether it be state or local state, a government or federal government. I think it probably would be state government would be more likely to do that. I don't think it could be an antitrust investigation, but something that shows that the government thinks they're doing something that's wrong or that's illegal, and they get their just desserts from it because what they are doing right now with price gouging for something that's not even released yet, and Nintendo has not even said that they're not going to produce any new runs outside of what's currently available. They've just said this is what we have for pre-order. Eventually there'll be more. When that is, we don't know. So GameStop's just saying, well, let's just make as much money as we can off of the popularity of this thing, and get rid of a whole bunch of backstock and crap that we can't get rid of because no one wants to buy it. It's so outrageous. And I think it's really a shame on them kind of thing. Like shame on them for gouging their customers simply because their customers are that eager to get this device that they're willing to pay $350 for it. It's just reprehensible. But of course, GameStop's not going to care. They don't care about what a simple person like me thinks. And they're also not going to care that I'm not going to shop there anymore. Now, they lose one customer. Oh, that's too bad. But I think the only way to show GameStop that we don't appreciate the bullshit that they're doing is if lots of people decide not to shop there anymore. And instead, go put your money towards your local game store. I'm sure there are game stores out there that not only sell used games but also are willing to buy new stuff too. And there may even be game stores that went on to places like Best Buy and Target or even GameStop and bought SNES classics so they could sell them in their own stores. And yes, they may mark them up a little bit more than what they paid for them, but that's how businesses run. They're certainly not going to mark them up 2, 3, 400% like GameStop did. But maybe they'll buy a SNES classic for $80 and they'll mark it up to $100 in their store. I think that's somewhat reasonable, especially if you really want to get it and you missed out on your chance. Now, I don't like scalpers, people just as bad as GameStop, who are going to sell them on eBay for 200 to 300% of the original cost. Now that's scalping. That's simply enough, that is scalping. And GameStop's essentially doing that. They're just choosing to market it as bundles and not as scalping. Because that would be illegal if they were actually scalping. Because they can then say to the government, if the government were to investigate their doing this, and be like, well, the stuff that's in the bundle is valued at the cost of $100 or $200. So the cost of the bundle is appropriate for what we're marketing it as. I don't agree, and I'm sure if the government were really to look into it, they would probably not agree either, and say that GameStop is more or less selling the SNES Classic at a high markup, and they'll just get a slap on the wrist and be on with their day. Whereas somebody who scalps that stuff on eBay probably gets their eBay account shut down or whatever. I don't know. It's just, I just wish there was more you could do to impact GameStop's bottom line. Because that's the only way you're going to get them to not do shit like this, is by impacting their bottom line. Making it to where they can't afford to do business anymore. Like that. Am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to be able to do this? Yes. Another creeper hole. Not a good time right now, Mace. Oh shit. Creepers everywhere. My friend is wanting me to join a party. It's not a good time. Creepers everywhere. Well, if you sat through this whole video and listened to my rant about GameStop and ThinkGeek, thank you very much. I'm going to get back to my house so I can go join my party and talk to my friends. And of course I go in the wrong direction. If you liked what you heard or if you have interest in seeing any more of my videos, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And have a great day.